Hey guys, I'm Oliver from Spitfire Audio, and in this video I would like to share an example of how to set up a home music studio. I've just moved country, so I had to pack down everything over in Spain, so I thought it'd be the perfect opportunity to show you what gear I'm using, why I'm using it, and how am I setting it up. I hope you'll enjoy it. Let's take it from the top. Alright, let's move to Amsterdam. And this is it, finished. See you on the other side. So here we are, welcome to Amsterdam. The movers have kindly left all the heavy and big stuff in its right spot. They helped me unpacking everything, taking all the bubble wrap off the gear and stuff. And first I would like to talk a little bit about the space, what's important for me, and just kind of a basic overview of where I put the stuff, etc. before we get into detail of the gear. So we're here right by the Amsterdam canals in a 400 years old house, and in an area called Jordan, and I'm living here on 2 top floors. So I have the living room underneath me and nothing on the top. So that was kind of really important to me. So I'm kind of isolated from other noises, etc. And also so my other better half can have a normal life downstairs and doesn't have to be too careful with the noise. I've got my Wurlitzer, which is one of my first purchases as a musician, or well, when I came over to England, and it cost me like £500-600, which was a good price, and I just really love the sound of it. And I've got loads of toys which I will show you. I put my sound through. And then I've got my piano. I talked about that in another tutorial before, but just to sum it up, I bought that from a German merchant over in London for around £90. And it sounds really beautiful. It's got a lot of character. I dampen it a little bit with a really thin felt. And then on top, I've got some other gear. We'll go through it shortly. And I kind of walked around a little bit and tried to figure out where is the best spot to put the piano. And I figured out it was there, kind of tucked under nice and neatly for a beautiful, intimate sound. And then this is kind of the heart piece. So in my opinion, you would always want your speakers, or where yours sits, that should be kind of the center of the room. And I've got it nicely opposite of the sofa, with monitor, desk, my MIDI keyboard. And then again, over there, I've got a dead space. And then it's got a bathroom here. So if I work too hard and get too sweaty, I'll take a shower. But yeah, let's go through the little bits and bobs I've got with me. So my main machine is a MacBook Pro, which I bought 5 years ago before I started studying at Berkeley. We had to get one of those machines, and I still run the same thing. It runs pretty smooth. Run loads of projects and films, etc. on it. Just trying to keep it clean, not crowding the hard drive. I'm using external hard drives. And the specs of my machine are 2.3 gigahertz Intel. It's a 15-inch, by the way, mid-2012. Memory 16 gigabytes, and I bought it with 8 gigabytes, so I bought some extra RAM of Crucial.com. I recommend you doing the same. Just spec up your computer with as much RAM as you can. At least 16, and you'll be fine. The higher, the better, of course. Then I'm running Logic Pro, which is roughly £150, and then running Pro Tools as well. And once you got those 2 things, actually, you're set to kind of make music. And I didn't really have that much more. Like 5 years ago, one of the first things I bought and started using was this keyboard here, which is Novation, Mini Nova, and I bought it for 2 reasons. One was I wanted to use some different sounds within my band. So I used to play Wurlitzer and electric organ in the band, and I wanted to use some synthy pads and sounds. And I bought this guy because it's quite small and it's got some really awesome sounds on it. And then you can also use it as a MIDI keyboard. So if you load some sample libraries on your computer, you can control them with this keyboard, and it's pretty handy. You can bring it everywhere. I'm actually not really using this microphone here for the vocoder. So yeah, it's just here kind of for decoration. But yeah, I'm not using it that much anymore. However, actually, I just used it before Christmas. I did an advert and someone asked me to do some electronic-y house stuff. And I got some arpeggios working on this guy. Would I recommend it? I don't know. There's probably cheaper and better MIDI keyboards around. The keys are a little small, and as a pianist, I've got to say, slightly shitty. Sorry, Novation. But yeah, the sounds are really, really good. Yeah, so with these two things, you're actually set to go. However, if you want to start recording stuff, then you should get an interface. And one of the first interfaces I got is this M Audio, this really tiny one. I bought it for like £20 off a friend, and it's just got one input, one mic input, and one instrument input. And then you can connect it here with USB as well. And then one of the first mics I bought was this one, Shure SM58. It's kind of a vocal mic, but you can use it to record all sorts of things. It just gives a different kind of character. One of the first things was an electric guitar I've recorded through a Fender amp, and it gives that nice and gritty sound if you put it really close. And of course you need an XLR lead to go from the mic into your interface. In case you're not sure what an interface takes your audio signals, so whatever goes into the microphone, and it turns it into digital signals for your computer to kind of record, and then it turns it back if you want to listen to it through speakers or through headphones. This one actually got two aux outputs to listen to it on speakers. And it's also got a headphone output here. And if we talk about headphones, I would recommend these guys, DT770 Pro. They're very good. I've got closed ones because, again, I usually work in a kind of a home studio, or I take them on a train or on a plane, and it's quite nice if they're closed. And also for recording, if you record on a piano, you don't want any bleeding. Bleeding means if a microphone picks up a sound from somewhere, you don't really want it to pick it up. And this one keeps the sound kind of fairly close in your headphones. Once you start getting more things, for example, you want maybe an external keyboard like this one. So you've got the numeric stuff as well there, and you've got some shortcuts. And then you use maybe an external mouse, just a normal USB mouse you get from Apple, which I like using when working a long time. It's better than the pad. At least I feel it's better than the pad. And then if you want to take it to the next level with the programming in your sampling, then I'm using this MIDI controller here, this Korg Nano Control 2, which also requires a USB slot. I quite like it. Yes, the distance here is a little short, so it doesn't allow you to kind of push it back and forth that much. But again, traveling around a lot, etc., is pretty cool. And pretty good as well. And you can also use it if you want to mix and you like to kind of move around knobs and sliders rather than your mouse. Then you can also hook it up to your digital audio workstation to work as a channel controller. Right, let's go into a little bit more of an advanced setup. If you want to have a studio where you want to record, I recommend to have an interface with more inputs. And we had to get this guy, MBox Pro, through Berkeley as well. It's all right. It's got 4 inputs, so I can record 4 mics at the same time, or like 4 different instruments. And it's got 6 outputs, and it's got including 2 for the monitors. And yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'm using it if I want to record something that goes through effects, or like some sounds that don't need to be super pure. And I'm using it for tutorials as well. If I show something on the screen if I would need to record my Logic, because then I need to do a bit of a special routing and I need more in and outputs. And then if I want to record a really beautiful signal, such as the piano, or a really pure kind of signal, I'm using the Apollo Twin, which I can highly recommend, but it's got only 2 inputs. But again, to record a piano or like a really beautiful guitar, if you use a really nice mic, then I recommend getting the Apollo Twin as your interface. And I'm actually looking to invest into the Apollo 8P, something like that, which has got more inputs. But if you know any kind of alternatives for slightly less money, then please help me out and put down your comment. One of the next investments I would make, and I have to say I've got a bit of an advantage because I work at this awesome sample library company, and we have this system where we work with SSDs. SSDs are these guys, and they're solid state drives, and these I believe are 1 terabyte, so it's got a huge amount of space, and they're really fast as well. However, it's a little pricey, but the setup is just super fast and super simple. So these are Samsung 1 terabytes, and then what you also need is this black magic dock here, so where you kind of slot these SSDs in. And if you, like me, if you have to change studios, then it's pretty good, because all I need to bring to London are these guys, and I can just plug it in the studio at Spitfire, and kind of the samples link really easily and simply, and the sessions load fast as well. What I also recommend investing in is a proper MIDI keyboard. So I've got here the Yamaha P60, which I've inherited from Christian when he's moved out of London. I think he's got himself a Dubfer, which is the next level, and it's super beautiful and amazing to play. But I kind of got used to this one, assisting him, and I'm kind of fine with the hammer action of this MIDI keyboard. What you also want to consider is a second monitor. So I've got a Samsung. You can get them second-hand from eBay, or just get two of them, depending how you want to work. So I like to work with them kind of on top of each other. So I have my laptop, and then on top I have the Samsung monitor, the big one. Then I'm using Dynaudio speakers. They're pretty good. We've got Dynaudio speakers in Spitfire as well, and kind of my ears are used to it. So I like using the same kind of speakers. So I have like kind of a reference, and I know how certain things should be sounding or shouldn't be sounding. Then I just recently got some speaker stands. So I had my speakers on the side of the table on books, which does the job, but it obviously gives you much more space if you have speaker stands. And I'm using these Nordell ones. They're about 80 or 90 pounds, and they're quite nice. Yeah, they do the job of holding the speakers. So the table I bought of some friends for about 10 pounds or something like that, or for a bottle of wine. And it's a bit wobbly, but just have to be careful. And it stands on these stones because it didn't have the right height. It was a bit low, so I'm just lifting it up a little bit. Also, so it corresponds with the stand here. The stand, by the way, the keyboard stand I've got from GAC, I believe. It's kind of a mixing desk stand, or kind of a turntable stand. But I like it because it hasn't got the cross in the middle, so I can put my legs comfortably under the stand. And then I've got some pedals as well. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll show you just some of them. I mainly use them for the Wurlitzer, but I want to do a setup here where I can just route my signal out of the computer. So take whatever audio and put it through the pedal as well, and then bring it back. So this is a Mooger. I think it's a kind of a tremolo, something like that. I think bought it, or I got it given from a friend, a guitarist. I'm using this Big Sky. So all these Strymon things, again, lucky me. Christian kind of said, play with them a little bit. So, but I got to bring them back to HQ at some point. Big Sky, beautiful reverb. Then here some other tremolo and reverb, Flint Strymon. Really cool, again on the Wurlitzer, I love it. Then I've got the Timeline Strymon here, which is also a loop pedal, and it does some pretty cool effects. It's got a really nice reverse reverb that I really like. Then I've got this loop pedal, Loop Station RC30. I use it here and there if I want to kind of accompany myself. And then this one I really love is a Space Echo. Again, I use it a lot on the Whirly, and I use it on an album I produced on the singer's voice. And then one of my proudest purchases last year, these guys. A pair of Coles, 4038, which I use mainly on the piano, but I've also used on vocals, acoustic guitars, and it's just a beautiful sound, and it's a proper microphone, and I recommend getting one or two of those if you can. Got to save up a little bit of money, but it's definitely worth it because they're going to last you for a lifetime. And then actually this is the one I bought after the SM58, and it's an Aston Spirit, and it's just a good all-around kind of condenser microphone, which I use for these tutorials because it's got a shock mount in there, and for vocals, general sound, or like room mic. Cool, this is pretty much it gear-wise. I'm gonna keep you in the loop and show you once I've set everything up.